Welcome to the show, guys. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor, in the studio here with Jim, a.k.a. the Maverick. What's going on, Jim?
Hey, counselor, just enjoying the holidays here and doing some Christmas shopping and, getting all that stuff done.
I'm ready to rock it, man. Glad you got your shopping done. I still got to get started with that. We are almost there. Christmas is around the corner. And today we are talking about NFL Week 15. A lot of people in the playoffs, some leagues maybe even in the championship. So this matters a lot. We're going to go through all of the matchups, talk about the starts and sits. And it's been crazy, man. It's been absolutely crazy at the quarterback position. We've got Zappy starting. We got Browning starting. We got Stick starting. Like, who would have thunk it? Especially when it comes to fantasy football playoff time, that there's so much uncertainty at that quarterback position. It's wild, Jim? It's a roller coaster at quarterback.
It is a roller coaster. It's been really devastating for the quarterback position. And now we're in the first week of the playoffs. So now it's like win or you're done. And there's a lot of critical players that are not participating right now. And two big names I want to talk about for our first matchup are both Keenan Allen and Josh Jacobs did not participate in Tuesday practices. That is not a good sign at all for them playing on Thursday. Very concerning right now. So, if you've got chances are if you got Keenan Allen, you're in the playoffs, and to have him not available for this week's game is just a huge blow to any team that has him.
So we're going to go through all of the matchups, talk about the spreads, talk about the matchups, talk about the starts and sits. But before we do, let's talk about the latest news and notes. If you're new to the channel, even if you're not, make sure you guys subscribe and smash a thumbs up. It's very helpful, guys. Outside of the box thinking here, we go year round. We're going to start rolling out 2024 content very shortly. So smash that thumbs up. It takes a second of your time. Thumbs up really helps. And drop a comment below if you have any questions. We'll get to them. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. So we'll start off here with the latest breaking news. There you go. You got to add the news there. So there isn't much in the news other than Bill Belichick being canned. Well overdue.
I don't think he's been canned yet. The plan is he will be probably at the end of the season.
He's a goner. Let's be honest. Unless he pulls something out, and I don't know what he's gonna do here. But it's good news. I'm not a big Bill Belichick fan. We kind of saw that Brady kind of carried him. Now people could debate that. But I think Brady was the secret to the sauce on the Patriots, I would say. That's my best guess here, right? Wouldn't you say, Jim?
I would absolutely agree with that. I mean, Belichick had his muse, and that was Brady. And once he lost Brady, he just can't do it. And, that offense has just been so bad. I mean, we've talked about it all season. Like, who are the stars on this team? What big offensive weapons does he have? And there's nobody. There's nobody on this team. He doesn't make any investments in the offense. The defense is always pretty good. And that was good enough when you had Tom Brady as your quarterback, but now that you don't, it's clear that Belichick's system doesn't work. And I thought it was weird because earlier this season, they gave Bill Belichick a big extension. And so I was like, why would you give him a big extension and then, fire him? That doesn't make any sense.
And it shows you how the committees work there. As soon as someone gets hurt, we talked about this, we saw how well Zeke Elliott did. So that's pretty phenomenal. If you just run your workhorse back, they can succeed, right? And it happens for most teams as well. But most coaches tend to go with that committee, and it really hinders the maximum performance you get out of your running back. And historically, this is going to affect a lot of people's stats, right? Like example, Jahmyr Gibbs could have had a historical rookie season, but it was hindered by David Montgomery. So it's very unfortunate for really good running backs to be hindered by a committee, but it seems to be the way the NFL is going. Anything else in the news here, Jim, we want to talk about? I mean, nothing really, some people limited in practice. We had, I think it was, who was it? Tyreek Hill was out with an ankle, then he came back. I think he's going to be good to go, right? They're just monitoring the ankle, I think.
Yeah, and Najee Harris didn't participate on Tuesday. Alexander Madison didn't participate. Jamar Chase, those guys didn't participate. So but it's only Tuesday that these news reports come from. So you still have the whole rest of the week. They will probably play, but it's not looking good for Jacobs and Allen. So
and Justin Herbert, since our last episode, Justin Herbert is done for the season. It looks like index finger on his throwing arm. And I really believe he had surgery. So I really believe he can play. I just think they're not letting him play because, at this point, they're pretty much playoff hopes are pretty much gone. What are they now?
It's a lost season. They're playing now for a draft position. So,
So I would imagine that's why they're benching him after they paid him $1 bazillion. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it in news and notes here. Nothing that really shines or jumps out. So we're gonna go through all the matchups. We got a full slate here, no bye weeks. Starting off with the Thursday night game. Again, we got some Saturday games, gonna be wild. And one thing I want to talk about before we get into all these matches is how crazy it is at quarterback. I mean, take a look at who some of the people that are starting that nobody would have imagined, nobody heard of. Guys like Tommy DeVito had 113 passer rating last week, gets the W. Billy Zappi, Easton Stick, Thompson Robinson. There's a lot of people. Zach Wilson, Mitch Trubisky, and Joe Flacco, Jake Browning. Like the names here are unbelievable. The injuries that
Right.
happened this year to guys that are like super paid really high, like guys like Deshaun Watson and Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. It's just been unbelievable. And that's really going to ripple down into some of the real reality playoff hopes of these teams, but also in fantasy. And again, I always tell you, grab an ace quarterback and get a good backup. I'm very fortunate to have in my team Herbert and Jordan Love as my backup. So and Jared Goff is my backup. So I've been very fortunate. Always have a backup plan for a backup plan, and you'll be good. But what a disaster at quarterback, right, Jim? It's been crazy.
A complete disaster. And I gotta say, man, this Thursday night matchup just fills me with dread. Who wants to watch this? I mean, didn't both these teams get blanked last week? I think didn't the Raiders lose? Sorry, the Chargers lost 6-0, and the Raiders lost 3-0. So the over right now, the over under is 34.5. Gee, I think I'm taking the under on this one. It's just terrible. No Keenan Allen, no Josh Jacobs either. So who do you even want to start? Devontae Adams. I mean, like that's like the only name I can think of that you would want to start on either of these teams.
Yeah, it's an absolute disaster. Some people saying, well, Austin Eckler's back. I mean, if you got him in the first round, I mean, you got to start. I mean, you can't sit Austin Eckler. I mean,
if you got Austin Eckler, you didn't make the playoffs. Come on, let's be serious. Let's be serious.
I mean, same with guys like Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson. It's been an absolute disaster for these studs. So yeah, it's a disaster. But I mean, again, if you got Eckler, I mean, he's kind of heated up a little bit if you consider that. But again, I avoid it.
Well, if Allen's out, Eckler, yeah, is definitely going to eat because there's just nobody else. But yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about either of those players.
Well, they're riding the hot hand apparently, but there doesn't seem to be any hot hand going anywhere. So
it's all cold hands.
and then you're Vegas, and you're just trying to decide. I mean, we look at you look at the quarterbacks. You got Stick versus O'Connell, and you're trying to decide who the favorite is here. And it's like, okay, let's just pick the home team. They're the 3-point favorite, which is the Raiders. And then you look at the over-unders, 34.5. And again, I don't anticipate this being a high-scoring game, but you never know. Easton Stick could come out and just tear it up, but very highly unlikely for sure. All right, let's move on here, Jim, to the other game. Minnesota, we're moving on to Saturday games. We got 3 on the slate here. Minnesota versus Cincinnati here. And again, when you look at the quarterbacks, who would have thunk this? Mullins versus Jake Browning. This should be a Cousins and Burrow battle here. Week 15 playoff. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy. Absolutely nuts, man. And let's take a look at who the favorite is here. Cincinnati, 3.5-point favorite at home. And again, they have the better. Actually, no, sorry. They're both 7-6. So, yeah, this could go either way, I would say, based on quarterbacks.
Yeah, and both these teams fighting for a playoff spot right now. I think I would give the advantage to Cincinnati here. Minnesota's offense couldn't do anything against the Raiders last week, and that's not a good sign. They benched Dobbs. They brought in who's the quarterback there now? It's
oh my God. So you got
Mullins. Did you say Mullins?
Yeah, Mullins versus Jake Browning.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh God, man! I mean, this is just brutal. You've got Jamar Chase and Alexander Madison limited right now. Chances are they'll probably play, but on the other side, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, all those guys dealing with injuries right now. So, man, who do you want to start here? I mean, T. Higgins has looked all right last week. Mixon, you got to start him because of the volume. But geez, I mean, it's just. Where is everybody? Everybody's hurt.
Even when I'm looking at my algorithm, when I look at the algorithm based on stats, Jefferson's got a good matchup, but I mean, look who's throwing the ball. Like, does it really matter? Like, when these quarterbacks that are suspect and haven't had time, real game time to build rapport with these guys, that's going to ripple down to create a fantasy football disaster. A quarterback really makes it, right? Like people that drafted Jefferson were expecting Jefferson not only to be healthy, but a Kirk Cousins throwing to Jefferson. Now you got a banged up Jefferson and you got someone else throwing the ball. I mean, this is huge ripple down
Right.
into fantasy implications. Huge.
A third string quarterback is throwing him the ball. Yeah, that's not what you were expecting when you drafted Jefferson at the beginning of the season.
That's
Yeah,
fantasy, man.
Mullins looked a lot better last week. That's encouraging. So I really do think Cincinnati's going to take this. Then on Minnesota's side, I mean, geez, Hawkinson, definitely you could start him. If Alexander Madison doesn't play, I can't remember who the backup is there, but that guy was pretty good when he had to come in a couple weeks ago. But geez, man, I mean, it's just it's tough to figure out who are you even excited to start? Nobody. I'm not excited to start anybody, but hoping to get just some production out of these guys.
That's all you need, man. Just some production. All right,
Right.
moving on to this matchup here. We got Pittsburgh and Indy here. And again, like who would have thunk this, right? You got, Anthony Richardson. I almost forgot his name. He hasn't even been, he's been injured the whole year pretty much on and off, right? You draft him with high draft capital. You got Steelers versus the Colts, and you got Mitch Trubisky versus Gardner Minshew here in this matchup here. I mean, like I said, 2.5-point favorite are the Colts. I mean, you got to start yourself. Your Pittman, I would say Moss is worth. I mean, Moss hasn't been able to tear it up again down the stretch here with Taylor being out, right? But Moss has got to be start worthy. I mean, Najee's banged up. Pickens and Deontay have been like, it's been a dice roll. You're not getting the major upside of these guys. But again, at this point in the game, especially when it's playoffs, you got to take a look at this is what I tell people. You got to take a look at the volume they're getting and take a look at the past 3 weeks. How consistent have they been? And then based on your roster, you got to make an executive decision on if they're worth a start. Is there anybody here that jumps out to say, wow, I got to start him here, Jim, in this matchup?
Well, Pittman. Pittman is like awesome. He's
That's
been
it.
fantastic this year. But on Pittsburgh's side, I mean, if Najee doesn't play, I think you can start Warren. And Deontay, I think, as a flex play, he's decent. But I wouldn't start Pickens. And on the Colts side, yeah, I think it's just Moss and Pittman. Maybe Downs if you really need a wide receiver, but that's about it. That's all I could start in either of those teams.
All right, let's rip through this. Denver versus Detroit, Saturday night game, 8:15. Again, Saturday night, 3 games on the slate. This is the third one. This one actually should be relatively entertaining. We've got 7-6 Broncos versus Detroit. Playoff implications here in reality. And again, when I'm looking at this, Cortland Sutton's a must start. He's been consistent as they come. You've got Russell Wilson. If you got him, I think he's a good play as well. And then you got to start Jared Goff. I like Jahmyr Gibbs. Laporta had a bit of a down week last week. I think he steps it up this week for sure. And those are the only ones I trust. Amon-Ra had a down week as well, so look for him to bounce back as well. I think you got to start him.
Yeah, and then also I think Javonte Williams is good to go.
Yeah.
He's really kind of asserted himself as a lead back. He finally got a touchdown last week, which is great to see. Sean Payton really likes to emphasize the running game, and I think he finally has a guy that can do it for him. So I think we're going to see some more of him, and I'd be fine starting him as well. And then, on Detroit's side, Detroit's at home, so Goff should be good. Amon-Ra, Laporta, Gibbs, and Montgomery, I think you can start them all. So I think they'll be good. It should be a good game.
Detroit is the 5-point favorite being at home, and I think they're coming off that loss, so they're looking to bounce. They lost last week.
Yeah, didn't both these teams lose last week? They both lost.
I believe so. Yeah, right. They're looking to get angry. Speaking of angry, let's get to the next matchup here. I mean, we saw what happened, guys, in the Chiefs game. Pat Mahomes absolutely loses it after the game on a call that didn't go their way. Yet in the Super Bowl, there was a call where there was they called a holding on Juju. Anyway, it's a long story short. Either way, the call went well in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs, and Mahomes didn't complain. And we see these memes and videos coming out. Then he loses it when a call goes against the Chiefs. That's what I wanted to say. They are the favorite here, 9.5 points versus New England. They are going to be on the road here. Look for a bounce back game. And this is going to be one of those games for Mahomes where he's got to step up and say, hey, I was angry. And it's going to be an angry game, I think. What do you think of this one here? It's going to be angry.
I think so. And I get why he was so pissed off. That was a brilliant play. I mean, the when Kelsey caught it and then tossed it back to Kadarius, and then Kadarius ran in for a touchdown. Beautiful. That was a beautiful play. And they should have just blown it dead. If Kadarius was in the neutral zone, they should have just blown the play dead
Early,
before
yeah.
even
Yep.
given the penalty. But because they did it after the fact, that really puts a sour taste in every Kansas City Chiefs fan's mouth. So uh, uh, Mahomes just hasn't been good this year, and he hasn't been good because he doesn't have really good receivers around him. And you've got aging Travis Kelsey, who I don't even know if he's going to play again next year. I think he's probably going to retire at the end of this season. As far as who would I start on the Chiefs side, Rashee Rice, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelsey, and I wonder if Isaiah Pacheco is going to play. If Pacheco plays, you can play him. If not, you could play. Again, I'm drawing a blank on the guys.
Hilaire?
Not Hilaire, the other guy.
McKinnon.
McKinnon, thank you. Yes.
McKinnon sucked anyway. Like they didn't come out and like tear it up last week either when they could have. So Pacheco's been kind of that safety blanket for them for sure. Yeah, monitor that situation with Pacheco. If you start him, the other two are a bit of a crapshoot. Like who do you start with them? Look at last week. Take a look at the volume that happened last week. They just didn't crush it, right? That's the thing. Like nobody came in and tore it up. So let me pull that up real quickly in regards to distribution before we move on to the next matchup, because a lot of people ask, who do I start if Pacheco sits? Like, again, do you like rolling the dice? Like, I don't know. Like, nobody really knows. But when you look at it, McKinnon had 4 attempts. Hilaire had 11, right? But McKinnon had the touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, I would probably...
And also, what passing volume did they get? I mean,
three targets for McKinnon, 4 for Hilaire, 3 receptions for McKinnon, 2 receptions for Hilaire. I'd still go with Hilaire because he had the 11 attempts, I would think.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Yeah, I'm just biased because they got the touchdown. So, yeah, definitely go on the volume play. But I would not be excited about starting Hilaire in any case. So, if you can keep him on your bench, just keep him on your bench.
For sure. All right, let's move on to the next matchup here. We got the Jets versus Miami. Miami. I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, this is where we talk about the fixes in. Like, is the NFL fixed? Miami came in and lost. I think that game they were up 14 with like 3 minutes left, and they lost the game. So I don't know, man. It's weird because you had the 2 games on the slate, Packers and the Giants, and then you had Tennessee versus Miami, and the favorites lost. I mean, Packers lost to the Giants, to DeVito, and then Tua loses at home versus Tennessee. Like, it's really, really strange. And that's any given Sunday, right? So
right.
They should blow out. I mean, it's a divisional game here. They should absolutely blow out, I would think, this week. Again, angry game. They're 8.5-point favorites at home. They should blow out the Jets, I would think, this week.
Yeah, and hopefully Tyreek plays. If Tyreek doesn't play, it's going to be a hard game because the Jets defense is legit. As far as the Jets offense goes, I think you could only start Wilson.
Breece Hall. Breece Hall had a good week.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, Breece Hall. He's been good.
And Garrett and Wilson, like you said. Yeah.
Garrett Wilson. Let me. I'm not saying don't start Zach Wilson. I'm saying Garrett Wilson. But Miami, they're just such a great offense. They're going to do good for you no matter what, and they had an off game last week, but they are at home. This is an explosive offense. So, Chain, Hill, Waddle, all those guys you could totally start. So, should be a good game for Miami, I think.
All right, Chicago at Cleveland here. What are your thoughts here? We've got Fields versus, what am I saying here? Yeah, we have Fields versus Flacco, and Flacco did well last week. I can't believe Flacco is still like playing. It's amazing. He's playing.
Well, he's not that old. He's only like 36 or something like that.
Is he? I thought he was 100. Are you serious? Is he really 36?
Yeah, he's not that old. But
now I got to look this up. Sorry, you talk. I'll look up how old he is exactly while we're
doing. So anyway, Cleveland, he's done good enough. Cleveland's got a good offensive line. They got a running game, and so they're able to protect him, and he has time to make good decisions. And he's generally been playing pretty well, and so that's good to see. And Chicago's been playing much better as of late as well. So last week, Fields had a great day. It's just. I think this should be a pretty good game for offenses, although the over-under is very low, 37.5. So they're not projecting many points to be scored here, but What do you think? I mean, who are you
Oh,
interested in starting here?
well, Flacco's actually 38, just for the record. He's been in the
Oh, he's
league.
38. Okay,
He's
okay.
been in the
I
league
was I
since
was close though. He's younger than Aaron
2008.
Rodgers.
Yeah, he's in the league since he was 30 sorry, 2008, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, in regards to this, I mean, take a look at the way I say it is take a look at last week. I mean, DJ Moore, Cooper, I mean, worth a start for sure. Again, quarterbacks, I mean, if you got Fields, do you trust Fields? That's a big question. What did he do last week? I got to go back and take a look at what Fields did last week.
he
You
had a
know,
good week last week.
he had a rushing touchdown, I believe. I got to go back. I'm
Yeah,
watching so many games at once. I gotta pull it out. I think he had like a rushing touchdown, but yeah, I mean you can't. Yeah, he finished third in points, so he's a
yeah.
must start. And did have that passing touchdown. And he did have that rushing touchdown, 12 rushing attempts. So he's kind of back into that upside type feel. So a lot of people ask me, do I start Fields? Do I start someone safer? Fields has got that upside, man. Coming off a
Yeah,
hot week.
Fields has the rushing yards. Go with that, man. I mean, if it's a choice, you definitely want the rushing quarterback because that's like it's like I said, it's a cheat code in fantasy football. So just utilize it.
And he's got that
DJ
momentum.
Morse looked pretty good, so
He's
DJ
a
Moore
must
you could
start.
definitely start.
He's a top three
Um,
last week in fantasy points was DJ
yeah,
Moore. So he's definitely a must start. So yeah, I mean those are the only guys I'm really crazy about. When I look at Cleveland though, Amari Cooper only had 12 points last week. So,
yeah, but
14
you still
targets.
kind of have to start him as the one,
Yes.
you know. And Elijah Moore's looked pretty good, so he's looked good. Ford has been good, so start him. Certainly, I think the Cleveland defense is worth starting. That they're pretty good defense there. But yeah, I guess they're saying that it's not going to be a high scoring affair though, so
Yeah, and
don't expect much.
Cooper got the volume. He's the main guy. They keep going his way. So,
Yeah,
Houston versus Tennessee, more crap here just with quarterbacks. Obviously, with Stroud,
yeah. No
he's coming,
Stroud.
well, I think Stroud coming back, isn't he? Concussion, right? Is he coming back off concussion? I have not looked
Oh,
that
I
up.
thought it was I thought he had like a leg contusion or something.
No, it's a
Maybe I'm.
concussion. So let me look.
Oh,
While
okay.
you go over the starts and sits here, I mean, you got to start Singletary. He seems like he's getting the touchdown work. Nico Collins had a bit of a down game. I'm surprised, man. Nico
Nico
Collins,
Collins got injured. He did, yeah, and he
yeah,
missed. He missed the rest of the game. So we got to monitor that. Tank Dell's out. So this team is taking some real hits on its offense. Who's the other? Brown, the other wide receiver, was a complete no show last week. Just a complete dud. So it's really hard to trust anyone on Houston outside of Singletary right now. Just because of the unknowns with all these injured players. And then for Tennessee, Tennessee, obviously they got the win this past week.
Henry and
They're-
Hopkins. That's the only ones I trust.
yeah, Henry and Hopkins. Yeah,
And,
definitely.
and I just had to get the update on Stroud at the time of this recording. It is Wednesday, so this is going to change. He still has to clear concussion protocol before week 15, so it's not confirmed as far as I know. If he does clear, I would say I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to start CJ Stroud, right? I mean, I don't like it's just a concussion. He's back up. He's fine. It was a
Yeah,
headshot.
but the thing is, the concussion, they usually miss at least a week. It's very rare when they miss only when they just are able to come in on the next week. So
Yeah.
I think you should prepare as if he is not going to play, which really downgrades the Houston Texans offense right now. So
Yeah, he left the game in the second half. His helmet hit the turf. How serious
okay,
is it? Hopefully not too bad, and he's good to go. I'd like to see him back on the field, especially after such a good year. You don't want to mess up the stats and throw off his momentum, right?
right.
All right. Giants versus the Saints here. I mean, you got to take a look here at Danny DeVito. Good rating last week. Saquon Barkley's a start. Yeah. Did I say Danny DeVito? Did I call
You
him
said
Danny?
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, I'm just Tommy
He
DeVito.
is a national treasure. Let's be truthful, everybody. Come on, Danny DeVito's the best.
He's the penguin. He's the real life penguin.
That's right.
Derek Carr, Kamara's a must start, Chris Olave, your usual suspects, but any wide receiver there from the Giants, I'm questioning. Maybe as a flex
Yeah,
play.
you can't trust. Yeah, you can't trust any any receiver from the Giants right now.
Robinson.
There's no star.
Robinson was the top, just so you know, top target getter, 7 targets, six receptions, 17 points. Is that Hodgins was the second guy, only 2, but he was 2 for 2, right? 2 targets, 2 receptions. He did
Yeah,
get
you
a
can't start that
touchdown.
guy.
He got a touchdown. So again, you're not getting the consistency. Slayton Hyatt, no, I mean, Wandell Robinson, but is it you just can't trust the wide receivers here. That's what I'm saying, and you can't trust DeVito to have another good game. So I don't know,
Right, and
man.
the Saints defense is good. I mean, do you see
Yeah,
what they did last week? I mean, they've really, uh, I mean, they've been pretty good all year. They've been a really good defense this year. They were one of the defenses I drafted, and I'm happy I got them. I think the Giants, again, they're just not that good. So I think Saints are definitely going to take care of business at home and should dominate this game.
something
So
to monitor for this real quick is that if DeVito does well, what a big waste of money that was for what's his face. I keep calling him Eli Manning, but Daniel Jones, 140
Daniel
million. I mean,
Jones.
if DeVito comes in, man, they're already starting to show what a waste of money. All right, let's wrap.
The thing is that DeVito hasn't shown anything. I mean, like he's shown nothing this year. I mean, he's
Yeah,
not good.
Giants
So
Giants are the 6-point dog in this one. Saints the favorite at home. All right,
yeah,
Atlanta versus Carolina here. Atlanta 3-point favorite here versus Carolina, who's on the road here. You got Desmond Ritter versus Bryce Young. Again, another situation. We got these suspect quarterbacks. None of them doing well. 1-12 Panthers versus 6-7 Falcons. Falcons need to win this game. Bijan's a must start. Drake London coming back alive last week. You got to consider starting him. Adam Thielen, Chuba Hubbard, also a good flex plays at best. Other than that, here, man, it's a crapshoot. Carolina's a dead crapshoot, but I do like.
Carolina is terrible. I mean, come
Yeah.
on, they are just awful. Last week they got destroyed by the Saints. I think Atlanta's going to take care of business. I'm surprised that Atlanta's only favored by 3. I guess maybe because they're on the road. I mean, it's nice to see that Bijan is really kind of taking control of that backfield. Algier hasn't done anything in over a month. I mean, he's
Yeah.
not getting the volume. He's not getting the high value touches around the goal line and stuff. Bijan's getting it. That's great to see. It's just frustrating that it took till the second half of the season for them to figure out that, oh, maybe we should play our best player. Maybe we should play
Yeah.
him. That'd be a good idea. So
It was brutal. All right, next matchup here, we got the Bucks versus the Packers. Jordan Love needs a bounce back game here. Tampa Bay. I mean, who are you starting here? Tampa Bay. You got to get your Mike Evans going, your Rashad White, who's been consistent and surprising all year. You got to do that. And yeah, I mean, Jordan Love, Dobbs, could have had a bigger game last week. Didn't really perform the way I thought he was. Jaden Reed. I'm not sure if Watson's still out. That's something you want to check. I would assume Watson would still be out.
yeah, I mean, again, you can't really trust any of the receivers. They've been spreading the ball around so much. There's no one that's really appeared on Green Bay's side as the lead receiver. And so because of that, it is just a crapshoot on any of these other guys. So I would generally stay away from that situation. Um, you know, I'm just trying to think of who I would want to start on Green Bay. Jordan Love, I think you could probably start here because it is a home game. And
I like Jaden Reed. I think Reed seems to be getting the work, getting the volume, getting the touchdowns. He's a good player. I mean, like I said, they do spread the ball around, but I think Reed is going to be a beneficiary.
Yeah, but again, no one's gotten enough volume consistently. Like on our waiver wire pickups, Jaden Reed is never on there. He's never hitting like the 7 targets. That's kind of like my my
Yeah.
my goal for finding players to pick up. He never hits that, and he's done some big plays, which is really nice to see. He's a big play guy, but I just don't know. I would not trust him to start because it could be a 3-target day or a 4-target day, and then you just lost. You can't do that during the playoffs. You can't start a player like that during the playoffs. So,
Packers are the favorite, and yeah, very touchdown dependent for Jaden Reed for sure.
yeah.
Philly and Seattle here. Where are we at? Now 49ers versus Arizona. Philly and Seattle is the last game. 49ers versus Arizona. I mean, at this point, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this other than this is going to be a blowout. The fact, and finally a big spread. We don't see this too often, but 49ers on the road, 13.5-point favorite over Arizona here. And at this point, Arizona at 3-10 is probably going to be starting to lose. They want to lose, I would think, just to get a higher draft pick. I would think at this point. But Christian
Yeah, I
McCaffrey,
think they've got a top 5 pick right now in the NFL draft. So I don't think they want to jeopardize that. But they are coming off the bye, and it is at home. And so could San Francisco be a little bit too overconfident coming in here, think they're just going to mop the floor, and then all of a sudden Arizona sneaks out a win? I think there could possibly be a letdown here. San Francisco's won some really big, high-profile games the past few weeks, and just seems to be cruising towards the Super Bowl. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. Kyler Murray, You got Trey McBride, who looks great. I'd start both those guys, and let's see if I don't know if Arizona can maybe sneak one out here.
Could this be a trap game is my question. That's a bit of a
Yeah, exactly. It just seems like it, right?
yeah. Yeah, and then obviously
Um,
usual suspects start Dirk McCaffrey, Debo Samuel, I would say even Kittle as well. Brock Purdy's definitely worth a start here. Arizona, I have trust issues with this entire team. I don't really trust anybody, man. James Conner could be safe. That's it. I don't
oh,
trust
see,
anybody.
because McBride's looked great. McBride, the tight end, has
Yeah,
looked
McBride.
great.
Sorry, McBride. I was
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Right.
and Kyler Murray, he's a running quarterback, so he's going to get some ground yards. I think that's also a pretty safe start,
I don't
and
trust him
we'll
against the
see. We'll see what
49ers.
happens here.
I really don't trust Kyler against the 49ers. I think it's just a tough matchup. I don't trust him. Him and Tua and Trevor Lawrence. Those three guys have tough matchups for his position. The Jets, Baltimore, and San Fran, they tend to play quarterbacks tougher, you know.
Right, right.
Yeah, and I think Justin Fields also has a bit of a trouble with Cleveland theoretically, right? Because we talked about Fields having a big game. Is that going to continue? Something to monitor. Washington versus the Rams here. Rams 7-point favorite at home here. Again, quarterback disaster. Sam Howell versus Stafford. I would have to put my money on Stafford here. Although Howell for fantasy, he's been consistent. You cannot deny Sam Howell has been consistent. McLaurin, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, Brian Robinson, all starts. I would say if you got him. I mean, you got to go for the volume, right?
Yeah, and the reason why Sam Howell's been good for fantasy is because the dude throws the ball a lot. It's like 50 pass attempts a game, so there's enough volume there. I don't know if I trust any receiver outside of McLaurin though, and Robinson, because I think the Rams are really going to take care of business here. I'm really kind of surprised that it's only a 7-point spread because the Rams at home. Kupp has been playing better. Puka's been effective. Kieran Williams. And like I said, we talked about this on the pickup show. Matthew Stafford's got the Washington Commanders are number one in the league for opposing quarterbacks. So I think Stafford is an absolute start here. I think it's going to be a big game, and I think he's going to do really well for
Yeah.
fantasy. So
All right, let's move on here. Almost done here. We got 425, last 425. This is actually going to be an entertaining game. This one I'll be watching. Dallas at Buffalo, both coming off some nice wins. Dallas on a roll this year, smashing the Eagles. What did they beat? They beat them by quite a bit of points last week, didn't they?
yeah, it was like 12 points or something. It was they did good.
But they had a good lead, and then I guess Philly, yeah, no, 33-13, man. They smashed them
Yeah,
last year.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean Dallas. I mean, who was the favorite on this one?
This is surprising. Buffalo's the favorite right now. 2.5-point
At
favorite
home.
at home.
Yeah.
Over under is 50.5. I find that kind of hard to believe. Buffalo, they've been, I mean, they're good for fantasy, right? Josh Allen's great for fantasy. But Buffalo's really struggling right now, and they are like on the cusp of being eliminated from the playoffs. So it's kind of like they need to win this game. But the Dallas Cowboys have just been playing fantastic. They look really good on both sides of the ball. So I don't know. I think Dallas is going to pull the upset off here, and I'm going to ride with the Cowboys for
Even,
this week
even,
for
even
sure.
if you want to call that an upset, you think again they should be the favorite. But yeah, more pressure on Buffalo. Josh Allen, Pollard, if you got him, I mean, this is the time where he's got to return his investment. If you have Pollard, you probably didn't make the playoffs because he was a first round pick. But
Right.
he seems to be kind of coming into his own here near the end of the season. CeeDee Lamb, Stephon Diggs, must starts, and James Cook. I mean, go with the usual suspects here. And
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid also is a
Kincaid.
good solid play. And as far as defenses go, I wouldn't want to start the Buffalo defense this week against Dallas. So,
Yeah, and
but
Kincaid proves you can wait on tight end. He's been producing relatively safe throughout the season. Kincaid, right? Well, then
yeah, I think he's going to be a good pickup for next year for fantasy football too. So,
that was
and also
yeah,
Buffalo's running back
Cook.
Cook. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cook has looked really good. He looked really good last week. So I think he would also be worth a start for sure.
All right, let's move on. Last, we got two more matches. We got the Sunday nighter here: Baltimore versus Jacksonville. Baltimore should take this 3.5-point favorite. And again, Jacksonville, I don't trust any. Like they're gonna have it tough against Buffalo. Any way you slice this, I would say, right? Trevor Lawrence, all the
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Buffalo defense. I'm sorry, Baltimore defense is really, really good. As far as Jacksonville goes, I think maybe Etienne and the tight end Ingram. I think those are the guys you can start here for Jacksonville. Don't trust Ridley. I don't trust Lawrence. This is going to be a tough matchup for them. And then on Baltimore's side, again, obviously Lamar Jackson, you start. I think OBJ is a start. Zay Flowers, and I can't really think of anyone else I really want to start on this team. but I think those guys will probably be good for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real piss off because Ridley, I mean, he did get 13 targets last week, but Zay Jones was getting a lot of targets as well. So it just sucks that more should be going to Ridley. But I mean, a touchdown went to Parker Washington. It's just a bit of a disaster there. But either way, they got it in tough. But sometimes when these guys have it in tough, they tend to step up. But based on paper, it's a tough matchup versus Jacksonville. Just be aware of that. That's all. I mean,
yeah, and Ridley could go off, but I just don't trust to start him because he's just been hot. Red hot or ice cold. And I mean, he gets you 20 points or he gets you 2 points, and you can't trust that in the playoffs. So I would bench him.
Well, that's the week. Remember, you said Metcalf, you didn't trust him, and he blew.
You're right. So he's definitely going to get 20+ points this week. You're right. Ridley, you're absolutely correct.
So start Ridley, guys. It's a boom game because Jim
start Ridley because I said don't start him for sure.
I hope we have that Metcalf week again. All right. Last matchup: Philly versus Seattle. Philly coming off the loss, 4-point favorite on the road versus Seattle. Seattle now 6-7, must-win situation here. I mean, Seattle's got to win. I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be the battle of the birds. I don't know, man. Hurts had a bad game last week, fantasy-wise. Just didn't do it. So that's.
But Philadelphia has just had like a murderer's row of matchups over the past month. I mean, just really every single week is a tough matchup. I think they definitely bounce back this week against Seattle. And I would never sit Hurts anyway. I would never sit him. But I think, as far as Philly goes, the receivers definitely start. Goddard, you can start. And, I'm not really sure I trust the backfield, but, those are definitely the guys I would start on Philly this year.
Yeah, and I think Drew Lock. What's the latest on Geno Smith? He's inactive due to groin. I think Drew Lock should be starting yet again. So monitor that as well. I wouldn't trust Geno Smith anyway against Philly, but it's Drew. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but Kenneth Walker, I think you can go ahead and start him. Obviously, DK Metcalf, go ahead and start him. Don't be an idiot and bench him. JSN, not really interested. And I think Lockett probably will be good as a flex play. But that's about it.
So, yeah, monitor that situation. If Drew Lock starts, it shouldn't be very entertaining. I mean, Drew Lock
it's not going to be good.
he came into the league to be like this stud guy, just never really lived up to expectations, and very common in the NFL where players come in and they just never live up. And Drew Lock's an example of that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So there you have it, guys. That is the full preview. If you have any questions, drop them below. Leave a thumbs up, guys. Starts and sits NFL Week 15. That's wild, Jim. It's been a fast year. It just blew by. But man, oh man, when we're talking injury, especially at the quarterback position, it's been unbelievable. It's been crazy, man. Crazy.
It has been a really rough year for injuries, and certainly it's impacted the performance of a lot of players, especially with all these quarterback injuries, that these superstar players have disappointed this year. And I think it's because of subpar quarterback play, and that happens. You have years like that. So, but anyway, good luck in week 15, everybody. Good luck in your playoffs. I hope you make it through the next round and do great and win that championship.
All right, guys, smash thumbs up, subscribe. We go year round. Drop your questions below. We'll get to as many as we can. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, everybody. We're out. NFL Week 15. Enjoy the games, guys. Enjoy the games.
Good luck, everybody.